The T-37 four-ship formation is from Columbus Air Force Base. It's headed by Captain Corey Natty and Captain Dan Dross in the lead aircraft. Number 2, Doug Cable, and number 4, John Williams and Brian Meeker. The T-37 was first built way back in 1954. And I actually have 80 hours in that airplane because, like so many, I was an Air Force pilot, and you did a few hours in a small airplane, then you went out and you flew a T-37 for 80 hours, and then a T-38, which we will have at this year's show, for another 120 before you got your wings. It's trained almost all of the Air Force pilots since 1961. The T-37 is an initial trainer designed to teach students the basics of flying fundamentals, advanced aerobatics, instruments, and basic formation. The four-ship, of course, is headed up by Captain Kim and Travis Canty, and they're going to be landing here. They did a pitch out here. You watch them pitch out, and we'll see these 4 aircraft come in and land. Now, every one of these aviators, military aviators, did work a basic training type program, and of course, it's a qualification program. Whether you're Navy, Air Force, Marines, or whatever, Coast Guard, when you go to pilot training, you have to pass each level, and this was the basic jet function for the Air Force, handled just a little bit differently for the Navy. We are privileged to have flying with us this evening the Lima Squadron, and they're flying the T-34 Mentor. There's number 5 for our T-37s, and these guys are all going to come circle in and land. The T-34 Mentor was used as a training aircraft for both the Air Force and the Navy in years gone by. In fact, the Navy actually still has a C model that they still use as a trainer. The T-34 Mentor built by Walter Beach, and I tell you how proud he would be of the wonderful airplane that he constructed with
the top solo aerobatic performers in North America today. Making his 6th appearance in the Chicagoland area, coming all the way from Salinas, California, in that very small, bright red, custom-built biplane known as the Oracle Challenger. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce to you none other than Mr. John D. Tucker. I invite you to stand by because you are about to experience 10 minutes of the most hardcore, down and dirty, hard-charging power aerobatics known to man. Descending in the high-energy inside diving snap roll. After momentary level flight, air show left, the nose comes skyward for the spiraling tower. It's 2.5 outside snap rolls on the way up. Now at low airspeed, pushing over the top. The 2.5 outside snap rolls on the way down. Remaining inverted. A high -G push off the backside. Followed now by the quick half roll and upright to begin the Hui loop. This is an inside-outside loop with a tumble at the top. The first half is inside or positive G's. The second half is outside or negative G's. Over 6 negative G's. Trying to throw Sean out of the cockpit at the bottom end of that last maneuver. By the straps, letting the nose fall through the horizon, accelerating back to air show center. You've probably seen other performers in the past do what's called a hammerhead turnaround. Watch closely now for Sean's original double hammerhead. Following the shoulder roll, approaching 0 forward airspeed, hard, full left rudder as Sean completes not 1, but 2 consecutive hammerhead turnarounds. Climbing skyward now in the maneuver which we call the flip top. I'd like to suggest that you get your cameras ready and get as close to the fence as you can. Direct your attention to the taxiway in front of you. You will notice there are 3 sets of poles out there. Suspended between each set of poles is a ribbon. Those ribbons are 20 feet above the ground, spaced 700 feet apart. In just a few short moments, Sean is going to dive down and attempt to slice all 3 ribbons final single pass in 3 separate flight attitudes. But first, climbing skyward to show you a maneuver which was first used in 1972 by Mr. Charlie Hillard to win the United States the World Aerobatic Championship Trophy. This is called the torque roll. Now, shifting into reverse, Sean brings this aircraft screaming towards the ground. Tail first at well over 100 miles an hour. Once through his critical altitude, the throttle slams back. The nose falls down. The smoke comes back on. And now, Sean is ready to attempt to slice all 3 of these ribbons in one single pass. Right knife edge, left knife edge, and finally inverted. Before performing the cut, Sean needs to ensure that the show line is obstruction-free. 200 miles an hour, making a pass to get a close look at that show line. He's now pitching skyward. And keep in mind that while Sean passes through these ribbons, his wingtip will be barely 8 feet above the ground while his knife edge flight at well over 210 miles an hour. Taking a momentary break, it looks like this C-130 is on the roll from the left. Once clearing the aerobatic box, Sean will again dive in. Diving inbound from the left, bringing it down to 5 feet above the ground, 210 miles an hour. Watch closely as Sean dives underneath ribbon number 1. Pulling now around what we call the triple avalanche. Stopping the rotation, looking out through the top of the canopy, trying to find ribbon number 2. Once in sight, Sean continues around the corner, drawing a bead on that second ribbon. Underneath ribbon number 2, remaining low to the ground until underneath that third and final ribbon. A pull to the vertical. Once pointed back to here, show left. Sean is going to show you the world's smallest inside loop. This is called the alley-oop. Obstruction-free, and Sean is now ready to attempt to slice all 3 of these ribbons. Now diving in from the left, stopping 15 feet above the taxiway. 210 miles an hour, rolling into right knife edge flight through ribbon number 1. Left knife edge flight through number 2. And finally inverted to take out that third and final ribbon. Ladies and gentlemen, a maneuver invented and performed only by John D. Tucker. This aircraft that you see Sean flying is known as the Oracle Challenger. It was custom built specifically for Sean by our team over a period of 16 months. It weighs in at 1,163 pounds and is powered by 400 horsepower, making it the most high-performance aerobatic biplane in the world today. Now, diving down between the poles for his salute to the men and women of the United States Armed Forces. Sean's low altitude, low speed photo pass. Recovers, he now sets up for the final maneuver of this section. This is called the Harrier Pass, named in honor of the United States Marine Corps aviation. Once stable in this maneuver, Sean will be producing a forward ground speed of less than 20 miles an hour. Challenger. John is the former winner of the United States National Advanced Aerobatic Championship Trophy. In addition, Sean is the first performer to ever win both the Bill Barber Award for Air Show Showmanship and the Art Show Memorial Showmanship Award in the same year. As the nose dips down through the horizon, I'd like to thank you on behalf of Team Oracle.
Formation loop, they're going to pull it right down the shoreline, or the center stage line here, right across the runway. Headed up by Mr. Alan Henley from Geiger, Alabama, the Aeroshell Aerobatic Team. Perfect formation right up over the top. Sounds of Mr. Ray Charles. In the lead is Mr. Alan Henley. On the right wing is brother Mark. And on the left wing, Mr. Steve Gustafson. So many of these maneuvers are basic training maneuvers that you use in the military or learning to be an acrobatic pilot. Military formation flying much now as they do a giant V-shaped barrel roll. Constantly changing out, attitude, bank, speed, and pitch. The barrel roll, perfect formation by the Aeroshell Aerobatic Team. Alan Henley and his team grew job with the shell a few years back. They've built a great relationship. Last year, now classic Aeroshell maneuver. As we're trying to make up just a few minutes, we'll see how far they go with their normal air show routine here, and we'll see what we're going to do. Now we've basically got 3 solos. We've got 3 men coming at each other. Each of them doing half of a Cuban 8. That's 5/8 of a loop. Half roll on the down line, opposing each other now at almost 200 miles an hour. Opposing moves right up over the top, but keep your eyes on the solo. We'll be diving in. Run up air show right. Watch now as the airspeed builds, approaching 200 miles an hour. Number 3 is coming in from air show right down on stage center. The smoke is on. Holding it straight up over the top again, and let's watch what he does when he gets up at the top of this big old barrel roll. A snap roll. Now, throughout the day, you're going to see varying degrees of snap when you use the term snap roll. A little bit slower in a big heavy airplane like the AC-6. And you can see as they will rejoin up and to the left. This airplane, of course, was a basic trainer in World War II. As they come rejoining right now, right down towards the center line in trail. Number 1, Mr. Alan Henley from Geiger, Alabama. Number 2, Mr. Mark Henley from Birmingham, Alabama. And number 3, Steve Gustafson from Tallulah, Louisiana. Aircraft was used as a pilot trainer and advanced trainer for the pilots during World War II. After the war, a lot of them were sold off, some were sold to other countries. What you'll find is that a country's military aircraft capability has Mr. Steve Gustafson from Tallulah, Louisiana, and together they call themselves the Aeroshell Aerobatic Team. You hear the squeak as they're touching down here, and we're going to get ready for our Blue Angels Fat Albert demonstration.
Diet Coke. Lieutenant Justin Otto, narrator for the Blue Angels. The Blue Angel maintenance crew and their equipment travel aboard a United States Marine Corps C-130 Hercules transport, affectionately known as Fat Albert. It is the large blue and white aircraft taking its position on the runway to the right. This evening, Fat Albert will be demonstrating the jet-assisted takeoff capability of the C-130, commonly referred to as JATO. 8 solid fuel rockets, 4 mounted on each side of the aircraft, produce an additional 8,000 pounds of thrust for takeoffs on shorter and improved runways. These rocket models were designed for one-time usage and can either be jettisoned from the aircraft in flight or removed after landing. On the runway from the right, Fat Albert will be rolling. They'll accelerate to 140 miles per hour, simultaneously fire the JATO bottles, and execute a high-performance climb with the aircraft in a 45-degree nose-up attitude. Aircraft Company was first produced in 1951. It was designed to lift heavy payloads both into and out of shorter and improved airstrips. The aircraft is powered by 4 Allison turboprops, producing more than 16,000 shaft horsepower, enabling takeoffs on runways as short as 2,500 feet. Per hour, the Fat Albert Flat Pass. In the course of the complete show season, Fat Albert will fly more than 140,000 miles, carrying a normal show load of 42,000 pounds of fuel, 25,000 pounds of sophisticated equipment, and a specialized maintenance and support team of 40 personnel. 5 Marine squadrons currently operate aerial refueling versions of the C-130. The KC-130 is capable of tactical in-flight refueling of both fixed-wing and helicopter aircraft. Additionally, Marine KC-130s are used extensively in support of Marine expeditionary units throughout the world. They have most recently been employed in operations in North Africa, Eastern Europe, Desert Storm, and Afghanistan. Landing in mountainous terrain or in a hostile environment. Demonstrating the short field landing capabilities, they will touch down and immediately position the propellers to full aft, stopping the aircraft in 1,500 feet. You will notice that not only can the aircraft stop quickly, but it can actually taxi backwards. The Blue Angels, home based in Pensacola, Florida, completed an intensive winter training period at the Naval Air Facility El Centro, California. Once again, the beautiful weather of the Imperial Valley provided us with the optimum conditions to fly each of the demonstration pilots on the 120 training flights necessary prior to our first public demonstration. Our show season opened on the 13th of March. It runs continuously each weekend through mid-November. Ladies and gentlemen, with the stars and stripes flying proudly above the cockpit, the Blue Angel C-130.
And he does this for
Air Combat Command, 23rd Fighter Group, located at Hope Air Force Base in It is now my pleasure to describe to you this afternoon's United States Air Force Heritage Flight. Flying information today is a World War
Classic view of two classic air war weapons at the airport, and Hull for their scheduled showtime. They do a little bit different at night. This beautiful T-34 Mentor, they basically have it choreographed the music and use their lights to make it a spectacular evening show for camp. And Jerry, it's nice to see you back in Chicago.
Oh, this is part of the whole air show world for us.
Well, these are a great group of guys, and of course the Red Barons have evolved over the years. We see Mr. Ed Hamill taking off in his pit special, and he will be back with us here in just a few minutes. Now these Stearman airplanes are fantastic historical aircraft. Most of them, I believe, were built between 1943 and 1945, but Jerry will tell you all about that and what the Red Baron Pizza Squadron means to...
It was 1925. Probably the four young men you saw or will see tonight would probably have come out of World War I. Ladies and gentlemen, anybody that believes for 1 minute that the fighter pilot came out of World War II, which was my war, or Korea, or Vietnam, or Desert Storm, or our current conflict, is wrong. This young man was born of blood in World War I. The average life of a World War I fighter pilot was about 3 weeks. Isn't that something? We must never forget this sacrifice. And when he came home, if he did come home, he knew something that was great. You go around flying an airplane. Now what do you do with an airplane in 1920s? There wasn't much work for a pilot. There weren't such things as really working airlines or airmail or anything. So what came of it is a word that we learned later called barnstorming. And four daring young men out there, I'm saying to you, are World War I fighter pilots. They are back trying to make a living for their family with an airplane that's got a wing on top and a wing on the bottom. And ladies and gentlemen, as late as the 1940s, our top-line fighter was a biplane. Hey, a lot of things were different in the 1920s. 1925, something happened. My mother had a little boy, and he's standing in front of you. That's right, next year, I will be 80 years old. There was a lot of other stuff that happened too. If you wanted to buy something with alcohol in it, it was illegal. It was called prohibition. You had to make it at home. It was called backtub gin, or else you had to go to a speakeasy. The girls all wore short skirts and they danced the music called the Charleston. They were called flappers. My mother was one of those. My mother broke her wrist cranking her Model T Ford. But what was the same in 1925, all the young folks that think they are having a special thing when they look up at our fighters, those people have the same experience. They looked up into the sky and they saw the same thing a little slower. I always tell everybody we do everything the Blue Angels do, but we do it at the speed of smell. That's so you can get a picture. Now, ladies and gentlemen, our lead pilot, that comes out of the great state of Colorado, his name is Mr. John Bowman, and he has been lead pilot for 20 years with this group. John and one other fellow that's retired last year are the original guys. The group started 25 years ago. This is our silver anniversary. This is my 18th year as voice of the Red Baron Squadron. But the guys are doing the same thing they did when we started and when it was in the great 1920s. Now, ladies and gentlemen, our left wing guy is a young Ohio boy, and his name is Jim Keller. On the right wing, we got an air show pilot that had an air show act all of his own by the name of Bill Stein, and our slot pilot, we slowed him down. He comes out of the military, an F-15 jet pilot, and his name is John McMurray. We call him back. That is known as the Arrowhead Formation. Down come the noses. We need about 160 miles an hour. Back on the stick, and they will transition into the diamond formation. Up and over the top, they take a quick look at all of us and say, Lordy, are we having fun or what? Oh, yeah. Again, they get a little backstick pressure. Ladies and gentlemen, all of those airplanes go straight up into the sky where Marilyn Monroe lives. When it stops going up, they pivot on their own axis, and down they come. We call that a stall turn. One more time, they get a little back pressure, they pull it over the top of that great diamond again. It looks easy, but it is difficult to maintain a formation when you got all that dirty air. And we're making it with those big propellers. Again, each airplane, about half of 2 minutes, rolls out of the 45. And now completing that 8, ladies and gentlemen, if you can see it, it's hanging there, a big 8 in the sky, which they turn into chasing each other around. World cage rope. Oh yeah, they're having as much fun as you can have without getting arrested. One more time, we got staggered hammerheads. Again, each airplane will stop, literally, pivot on his own axis, come straight down out of the sky. Building up that airspeed and everything he needs to do with that great old airplane. What can I say? It is much fun. I sure have my fun. Great entrail barrel rolling stuff. And now they're going to make a big 8. Half a Cuban 8. They'll turn that into a big 8 in the sky. Now watch it. They'll turn away from you. That's just a little bit of what we're going to do the next couple of days. We just wanted to give you a little bit of shot of what's happening. You know what the pilots tell me? They say, Van Kempen, you better do this right. At your age, the only job left for you is a greeter at Walmart. You guys are great. What an audience. Lordy, we're back to be in Chicago. Herb, you got it. Oh, I got the microphone. I'm going toward Herb. He's getting bigger. If I was running away, you'd be getting slower.
How do you follow an act like that? You know what's funny is that Jerry and his wife Margaret actually got married the same month that I was born, 54 years ago, and I always said, you know, I should have been his kid. It's been great. Great big round of applause for Red Baron Stearman Pizza and Mr. Jerry Van Kempen. All right.
The 920th Rescue Wing out of Patrick Air Force Base, Florida. Combined. In combat, the 810 goes in before the rest of the rescue assets sanitize the area, hence their call sign, Sandy. Utilizing a 30mm Gatling gun, the 810 shoots 70 rounds per second with a 30mm bullet to annihilate the enemy. You've probably seen what they did in the Gulf War, and recently during Operations Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom. Commanded by Colonel Timothy E. Tarchuk, 920th Rescue Wing at Patrick Air Force Base, Florida, is an Air Force Reserve Command Combat Search and Rescue Unit. It trains and equips about 1,200 personnel to search for, locate, and recover U.S. Armed Forces personnel during military operations. The 920th also has secondary missions that include provide pararescuemen to help the downed airmen.
Hey, Jennifer. I'm Chip and Trinity are here now, so I'm standing back.
In just a moment, if you look directly overhead, you'll see an HC-130 Combat Shadow jumping out of the HC-130. You'll see 3 pararescuemen The pararescuemen are deployed to assist the downed airmen. Pararescuemen are special operations fighters for the U.S. Air Force. They are essentially trained paramedics that are also highly trained in combat. We have 3 good shoots. After the tragic events of September 11, 2001, approximately 400 of the group's airmen were activated and deployed in support of Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom. During their tenure in Iraq, crews from the 920th were credited with recovering 26 service members. That's more than any other rescue unit in the Air Force.
Did you hear it?
Some of their more daring missions included recovering a stranded A-10 pilot who ejected from his airplane after it was hit during a mission over Baghdad, and even flying behind enemy lines to recover a Marine Special Forces team who had been pinned down north of Nasra. The wing continues to support the ongoing efforts of Operation Iraqi Freedom and additional to homeland operations. The airmen you see in the air, the pararescuemen flying down. Number 1, the jump master, Master Sergeant Alex Abbey. Number 2, Master Sergeant Shane Perry. And number 3, Tech Sergeant John Sheeman. setting up for their landing. The first pair rescuing to the rescue is Master Sergeant Alex Abbey. Let's give a big round of applause for Master Sergeant Shane Perry as he sets up for his landing. And finally, the third pair rescuing Tech Sergeant John Sheeman. These guys are more than just performers. They've recently, in the last 3 weeks, jumped out of an Air Force C-130s 600 miles off the coast. They rescued an injured sailor from China. Now to pick up the down pilot comes the United States Air Force HH-60 Pavehawk. This is the Air Force version of the Army Black Hawk Pavehawk. The difference in the Air Force Pavehawk is there's a probe that extends out of the front of the helicopter, which enables it to refuel in flight, giving the helicopter unlimited flying time capability.
What is it? It looks like a plane. Yeah, I think they did. Is it a bird? No, it's Superman.
And we're trying to get everybody down before dark. But coming from your right, you'll C-130 doing a high-speed pass with 2 A-10 Sandys. In the fixed wing world, when you have propellers, high speed is 250 knots. Give a big hand to the 920th Rescue Wing.
Look at before you stick it in. Really?
You can see the C-130 off in the distance, and a couple more of our A-10s out there. We'll see if they pitch out and come in to land for us here. We'll get moving along. Next on the program, we're going to be going with our T-34 Mentor, flown by the Lima Lima flight team. Now, if you want to know what 1,000 feet looks like, that's the altitude that they're doing their pitch out as they pass overhead. And then close to it, you can see the refueling receptacle on the top and in the front. And all military aircraft are in-flight refuelable. Air Force airplanes using a boom, a solid pipe that would fit into a receptacle on the airframe. Navy airplanes using a probe and drogue. The probe is on the aircraft. You can see it on some of our Navy airplanes here, but you can see the C-130 right now if you turn your eyes to the right, and you can see hanging off of each wing is a long drogue. And this is a basket that just hangs there, and the refueling aircraft, including some helicopters, would actually stick the probe in the basket, a light would go on in the cockpit, and the co-pilot would flip the switches to refuel in flight.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tim Sherwin, number 7 with the Lima Lima flight team. If you look up and ahead, you will see 6 aircraft flown by 6 pilots, who for the next 10 minutes will perform a demonstration of an evening twilight show. Throughout the years, we've performed this Twilight show, and many of the people that have seen it the Lima Flight Team is based out of Naperville, Illinois. We've been flying the air shows for 18 years. So everybody, let's sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Eyes in the fire. Fire one to the right. No, second one. Two to the right.
Watching the 2004 Lima Flight Team. Number 1, Bill Sherwin. Number 2, John Rippinger. Number 3, Gary Donovan. Number 4, Fast Eddie Hicks. Number 5, Jim Martin. And number 6, Brian McCann. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great evening and enjoy the rest of the show.
He falls toward the airport here, and you can see the streamer that he has. A little bit of pyrotechnics up there in the sky. And I'm sure you'll see more of that when we have our mass jump here in just a minute. All right, that's the end of the pyro for him, and we'll watch for his canopy to pop as he free falls at 120 miles an hour heading towards the ground. There it is, we can see the canopy.
Just my children.
He would like probably a candy cane or something like that off of his leg there just a minute so that he can take a sneak attack. he could jump in very, very quietly, and the aircraft high enough up so that you would never hear a sound, and these guys would be able to come in, and special forces troops that many, or not most of them are, they would be able to get on the ground and accomplish whatever task, whatever mission had been assigned to them for this jump. Back during World War II, when paratroopers first came into vogue, it was a much more dangerous thing to do for the jumpers, but these guys have not only canopies that allow them to land standing up. You will notice that they fly the canopy just like an airplane. You pull down on the left side, it will turn left. You pull down on the right side, it will turn right. You can pull them together, and it's like a speed brake in the sky. So you'll notice as they come down to land on the target, of course their target's right over here, you will notice that they do a couple things. Remember I said they're just like an airplane. Well, the wind right now, and you can see that we have a wind shot right here, so the pilot can see where the wind is coming from. And he will try to land into the wind, so that the wind helps them go just as slow as they can possibly go. Now, as his pilot runs out, he'll probably land another one. That's two, I know, and he has at least two. We'll see if he's got a third one. He's close enough now that you can see the beautiful black and gold of the canopy.
Irene, you should have gone parasailing when you're in Clearwater.
I was going to.
Why didn't you?
I didn't have enough time. I had to leave.
Their speed and distance, and form one of the many geometrical formations possible to achieve while in free fall. The jumpers now close to form one big column of flare in the sky. Ladies and gentlemen, the high-flying black and gold of your United States Army parachute team, the Golden Knights. Now, as you may have guessed, these jumpers are faced with a unique situation, a virtual traffic jam in the sky. Each jumper must first allow enough vertical separation for individual approaches into our target area. This is accomplished by pulling the parachute and spiraling down at speeds in excess of 60 miles per hour. These jumpers will set up an action stack just like you may see at the airport. At 1,000 feet, the jumpers perform a wind penetration check, gauging their speed and distance across the ground. They will then fly a downwind leg, a base leg 90 degrees to the target, and then face their parachutes into the wind for a final approach. Now once on final approach, the jumpers then shift all their attention to a small black dot located in the center of our orange X. The parachutes used by the Golden Knights are a flexible wing glider constructed of a lightweight ripstop nylon. These parachutes have a foreign inherent airspeed of up to 22 miles per hour. To turn left, the jumper pulls down on the left steering line. To turn right, the jumper simply pulls down on the right steering line. Now as the jumper nears the ground, they will pull down simultaneously on both steering lines for the safest and softest possible landing. Now as our first jumper nears the target area, he can hear you very well, ladies and gentlemen. Please join me in giving him a round of applause. As he shuts his parachute down for a fine airborne landing. And our second jumper, not to be outdone by the first, also stops his parachute for a beautiful airborne landing. Now our third jumper, making his way into the target area, stops all forward airspeed, shuts his parachute down for a fine airborne landing. Our next jumper, stopping his parachute, and waves to the crowd for a beautiful airborne landing. Our remaining three jumpers, following each other in from the stack, will stop their parachutes and land in the target area. making his way into the target area, stopping his parachute for another beautiful airborne landing. And our crew tech aboard our airplane is Sergeant Bruce Sharvius. And now, as the last of the jumpers have removed their equipment and they're donning their distinctive maroon beret, I would like to introduce them in the order of their appearance. But first, perform the difficult duties of ground control. From San Bernardino, California, she's an airborne aircraft maintenance technician with 923 free-fall parachute jumps, Sergeant Norma Estrella. Coleman. And hailing from the beautiful city of Fayetteville, North Carolina, he's an airborne infantryman with 874 free-fall parachute jumps, Private First Class Sean Sweetie. Coming to you from Lakeside, Arizona, he's a Special Forces Weapons Sergeant with 1,984 free-fall parachute jumps, Sergeant First Class Kevin McDaniel. Now keeping with a long-standing gold five. In the future, may all your days be prosperous and your nights golden.
All I can say is, I don't think the Russians had this in mind when they built this aircraft, folks. This is the Russians' first supersonic jet aircraft, which means it can go really fast. And basically, you've got overgrown sparklers underneath the wings. There are 20. Purple is new this year. The aircraft has gauges. Believe it or not, they're still in Russian. They're in Cyrillic. And I asked Bill, I go, can you read the gauges? He goes, heck no, I just pull the stick back and the buildings get smaller. I push the stick forward and they get bigger, and that's all I need to know. You guys believe that? Oh, this is a really tough aircraft to fly. The wings are swept back really far, which gives it a tight turning capability. And he can stay within a mile. They built over 10,000 of these Russian MiG-17s. This is Vietnam era. The MiG-15 was the Korean era. Horrible, horrible flying characteristics. This is a lot better. Distinguished Flying Cross. And as he comes across here, we've got all 4 streamers out. You can see the tail. The Russians didn't have a whole lot of money, you guys, so they used to operate them off of grass strips. As he took off, the thing blew up on him. He was in the air, 40 feet of flames sticking out. He was able to break the guard base for 52-year-old man. Let's see if he lands. You hear squeaking? Yep, he'll get to squeak. Somebody call the tower. Let him know he's down. All right, you guys. Thank you very much.
The Top Gun film. It showed so much of the capabilities, and of course emphasized the Top Gun fighter weapons school that is real, and the capabilities of this aircraft are very, very real. It's been around for a long time, but it's still a very, very effective weapon system. Let's watch now as he cranks it up with those 2 engines, both with over 21,000 pounds of thrust each. He's going to kick it off. It's a very big fighter, 62 feet long, 16 feet high at the tail, swing wing technology. And here he goes. Let's watch him rock and roll the F-14 Tomcat from the United States Navy. He's going to just do a series of passes for us. Of course, they can't do acro per se at night. That's why we watched our MiG-17 just do flat passes. Of course, they did have the pyro that worked so well for them. In the aircraft this evening, pilot is Jack Rocco Tangradi. Basically, when you talk straight, you talk slow and maneuverable. So when the airplane takes off, they swing the wings forward. And actually, it has a wingspan of about 64 feet. I told you, in those afterburners, really chokes the fuel. Eyes to the left now. The F-14 contact from the United States Navy. Of Wallingford, Connecticut, Lieutenant Jack Tangradi is a 1992 graduate of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. After receiving his wing control in 1996, he began training the F-14 Fighter Squadron 101. He's stayed in the Naval Air facility in Japan, and during that tour, he completed several deployments, numerous